What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Wellthy Stocks back with our weekly Apple update video where we take a look at how Apple stock traded this past week, some key support and resistance levels that we are looking at moving into the future, and based on that, what we think Apple stock could do. So real quick, if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and comment down below what your thoughts are on Apple, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. So let me hit record and we will get right into it. So here is the 5-week chart for Apple, taking a look at this past week. This past week was kind of important because we'd been talking about how we're having earnings in about a week and a half here. And so do we see that kind of run into earnings as we were expecting to start this past week? As we saw, that did not happen. We had a pretty much sideways week and then ending with a little bit of a push down kind of the last couple of days. But what happened was, a bunch of things happened this week. The first one being the Parler app issue with Google banning them, Amazon banning them from their AWS server. And that ended up kind of causing this whole question of does big tech have a lot of power? And that is a question that is causing a lot of uncertainty in the market and relating to big tech. We're talking about Microsoft, we're talking about Amazon, Apple, all saw declines this week related to that. The other reason is with the kind of introduction, with the nomination of Democrats in the House and Senate. The other question becomes, increased regulation for big tech, which also is a reason that we saw the fall this past week. So let's get right into it. We'll take a look at kind of how the stock traded, identify some levels of support and resistance that we have moving into the future, as well as potential levels of, or potential catalysts that we could have coming up. So right out the gate, right on Monday, we had closed 1.8 near the 132s. We saw a little bit of a sell-off, more sell-off, bounce from this 126 level on Tuesday. Then we pushed up, got above this 130 level, and then we were kind of above, and then ultimately came below it on Thursday. On Friday, we tried to push up, got a perfect rejection off of that level, pretty much off 3 cents from where we have it. And then we made a push down towards this 126.65 level. So let's take a look at and zoom in and kind of see what we have going on here. So as we saw, right, we had a little bit of a time after we kind of got to this all-time high. So 138 was the high before as well. It was pretty much 138, right? 137.98. This is 138.79, and then we saw a little bit of a sell-off. We were getting ready to push right back up, right, as we saw from these 3 candles, making a push above 130, 132s, making, kind of getting ready, gearing up for a push towards all-time highs as we go into earnings. But what we saw was, this past week, which is these 5 candles right here, we really struggled to break this 130 level. If we did, we came back down the next day. But as you can see, kind of rejected, couldn't even make it there. Perfect rejection on Friday. Wednesday, we did make it above. Thursday, we came right back down, right? So that on the upside, right, that's the first sort of level that we've had a lot of trouble gaining, right? We've had a lot of trouble staying above the 130.24 level that we have here. So that's, the first level that I'm watching is this 130.24, basically 130 level, to see if we can get above it and if we can hold above it, right? That's the key here. As we saw on Wednesday, we got above it and then we came right back down. And then on Friday, we went towards it, right? But we got perfectly rejected. So let's say we open tomorrow, markets are looking strong, right? We push up. 130.24 is the first level that I am watching to see if we can finally break that and finally hold that, right, to get ready for a push towards this next level at 133.45, or if we get rejected here and see a little bit more of a sell-off. If we do see a little bit more of a sell-off, right, since we are kind of at 126.82, our next level is at 126.65, which doesn't really give us a lot of run room, right? We're talking like less than 20 cents of a run room. So if we do see weakness, then we keep falling past this 126 level, and I think then we find support here in the 34 EMA, at the 55 EMA, which is at 124.55, with 125 kind of being that mental resistance. So if we break below 126.60s, I'm watching that 125 level just as a mental level of support. Then I'm watching the 55 EMA at 124.55, and then I'm watching this 123.69 level. If we keep going down for whatever reason, we've got the 89 EMA at $120.30. I think that should definitely hold. If we go back way out, right, even when Apple had this huge sell-off in like kind of mid-September, we didn't break below it. We broke below the 89 here, but came back the next day, and then here we bounced before we could hit the 89. So I don't think we get all the way down to the 89. That being said, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market around regulation with big tech, especially this upcoming week with the inauguration. If we see some riots, if we see protests, if we see anything, you know, related to unrest or uncertainty, right? The market does not like that, and we could see that with, you know, a sell-off, and Apple being such a large company, right? We can't. If the market's selling off, Apple is going to be a part of that, right? Apple is not going to be able to just ignore all that and keep pushing up, right? So I think this week is really important because it'll kind of set the tone for the following week. If we can kind of gather momentum here, maybe bounce off of this 126 level or bounce off of this 55 EMA, if we keep falling, start to push up, push above 130, gather a good base, right? If we could gather a good base at 130, maintain it, then I think, you know, later this week, potentially early next week, as we get into earnings, we could push that 138 level. And that will be really interesting to see, because as you can see, the last time we went up here, we were able to barely knock out the high here, which was 137.98. We beat it by like $1. And then we started selling off again. So it'll be interesting to see if we have enough momentum to kind of go up and break through that. Now, again, if we see weakness in the market, or if we see more talks about, you know, big tech has too much power, we got to have regulation, I would not be surprised to see Apple sell off, even though we are expecting a pretty nice earnings coming up. As you can see here, earnings is 127, which is a week from this week. I think a week and a couple days, right? So I think that's why this week's really important, to see if we can start that rally and start to push up towards this 133 and 136 levels, or if we see more sell-off, and then it's a matter of where we find support. I continue to hold my Apple position, as I share with you guys every day. Long-term believer in Apple. I think ups and downs. Continue to hold my shares. Maybe I'll sell some covered calls against them if I think, you know, that Apple isn't going to do too well. But, you know, other than that, you know, I'm kind of playing it day by day, kind of seeing where the momentum is. So on Friday, for example, when I saw this level getting rejected, and then I saw this kind of fall that started and we broke VWAP, that's when I bought a put, rode that down. I actually sold it. I got in at 128.98 and sold it at 128. Did not go all the way down to 127.50. I got my, I think, 12 or 13% that I was looking for. I was looking for 10%, got 12. But that's how I'm sort of trading Apple in the meantime, right? Looking at the support and resistance levels that I've identified for us every day, and then kind of seeing, hey, do we get rejected by a level? If we get rejected by a level, what's the next level of support that do we have? If we get rejected and are going down towards VWAP, and if that's a decent ride, I might jump on for the ride down and test the VWAP. And then, you know, similarly, if we test the VWAP, start to head back up, and I think we have good momentum, I might jump on. So that's the type of place that I'm doing for the time being, while continuing to hold my shares for Apple, hoping for that rally into earnings. But I'll keep you guys posted this week. Make sure to follow my channel to stay up to date with Apple news, as I try to cover it on a daily basis. And we'll kind of see, you know, do we get that earnings, or do we get a little bit of a sell-off, or maybe even some sideways action for Apple as it consolidates and trying to figure out what it's trying to do. So that's all I had for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys all had an amazing long weekend. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day, and until next time.